And good morning, everybody. Here we are back in for an edition of Trey's Chow Down Live, and had a little bit of technical difficulties there, but that happens every once in a while in this business. I'm here today with Katie from the Ranch Water. Katie, how you doing?
Hi, y'all. Hi.
Hi, y'all. I like that. Hi, y'all. I like that. We're going to get back with Katie in a minute. We're going to talk about some new exciting stuff we got this week. Y'all, y'all see it right here. Deep Ellum. There we go. Blueberry, watermelon, grapefruit, dill pickle, lemon, and they're all-purpose vodka. That cracks me up. They always said they're all-purpose vodka. What other kind of vodka is there but all-purpose? But all their new flavors start rolling off the line this week, and they are going to be in stores soon, or you can go to the distillery and check them out in Deep Ellum. We'll be there Saturday slinging some back. Also, on Sunday, they have the grand opening of Enchilada Olé in North Richland Hills. That's Sunday, October 11th. And if you have not tried Enchilada Olé, let me tell you something right now. It is delicious. They have their first one. They moved it, and now they got their second one opened up in North Richland Hills. It's going to be awesome. Three Forks has moved to Frisco. During COVID-19, they had some issues, so they have moved to Frisco. We went over there and had dinner 2 weeks ago, and it was absolutely awesome. Now, one of the things that I really enjoyed last week was going to Trinity Groves and trying. They have a new cake machine. A cake machine. You put your money in, and a slice of cake comes out.
Nice.
Can you believe that?
Never heard of that before.
I made a beeline for that place. I couldn't believe it. And the cake they make the cake. It's attached to a bakery, a cake bar.
Okay.
And they make it fresh and keep them stocked every hour, and it's phenomenal. There was a line of people about 10 deep at that machine.
Wow.
It was crazy. It was fun, though. It's just fun. And about $5 a slice, and it's a big, thick, huge slice, fresh, It's fantastic. Okay, I went and tried yesterday. I love this. And if you go to TreyChowdown.com, or if you just go to Trace Chowdown on Facebook or Instagram, you will see this. Went to a new burger concept called K-Pop Burgers and Wings in the Colony. Now, there are some other K-Pop burgers, but they're not this one. This one is a chef-driven menu, and he makes all his sauces in-house fresh every day. The burger I had was the Bang Tan, and it was 3.5 pounds. It was this tall. I'm not kidding you. It was that tall. You ever seen them guys shave off that taco meat and stuff to make tacos with? That's what it looked like I was doing trying to eat the thing. But if you go to Trace Chowdown on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Tumblr, you can see the videos. They're phenomenal. Or go to TraceChowdown.com and read the article. It's awesome. John Teaser, celebrity chef John Teaser's been on this show twice now. Opened up his new place at the Ritz-Carlton in Orlando, Florida. I'm so happy for John. John, kudos, brother. Love you. Can't wait to get out there. I'm going to be going out there next month or two to dine out there and check it out. In November, in Dallas, we have the new S&J Hot Chicks opening. And let me tell you something. There's people that say they have hot chicken. They got 6 or 8 flavors. The last flavor is called Sign a Waiver.
Okay.
My eyeballs were sweating. I had sweat coming out. And I'm not kidding you. I was sweating there. My eyeballs were sweating. I looked like somebody throwing a bunch of water on me. It was crazy. But I loved it. They're going to open up in November in Dallas on Northwest Highway. Yesterday and this weekend, today, and tomorrow at the new brewery in Hudson Oaks, the Pathfinder Brewery, the Grove is opened up. It's a new restaurant, the Grove, at the Pathfinder Brewery in East Parker County. Thanks a lot, Bobby Johnson, for letting me know. But y'all need to check that out. That's in Willow Park, actually, area there, and that's where that is. And one last thing that I got to say, Paris Cafe has now gone to the Cowboy Cafe in Paris, Texas, and they had that big burger there named after me, and they've gone to a new owner, and it's now called the Cowboy Cafe. If y'all are up in East Texas, go check them out. Now we're going to get with Katie of the Lone River Ranch Water Company. I like the name Long River.
Me too.
It sounds nice and Texan. So, Kay, I want to hear a bit about your story. So, you are from West Texas.
Yep.
Midland, you told me, right?
Yes. Grew up in Midland. Family's been out there for generations. I think my great-grandfather came out there in search of opportunity. He was one of the original wildcatters out there. And he started a family business that my dad runs now. And then my grandfather actually has a working ranch in far west Texas, close to Alpine. And that's
Awesome.
even, more out there than
Sure.
Midland, if you can imagine.
Alpine, that's McAuliffe's. They're out there too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
yeah.
Al. And Mike.
Yes. Yep.
They kind of dominate the scene around here a little bit.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Mike's got a cigar company now too.
Oh,
I mean, not Mike,
nice.
Al does. Al Cigar.
Oh, I've seen those actually. Yeah.
Al McAuliffe cigars.
Nice.
It's perfect. They come hanging out of his mouth, walking around. So did you enjoy growing up in West Texas?
I did. I mean, I think it's just kind of a different way of life out there.
Sure.
And
Oh, yeah.
coming from a small town, I think that's really been like ingrained in who I am. And
Yeah.
that's something that I've carried with me everywhere that I've gone, even to the big city. So.
Sure. Now, I don't know if you know if they told you, but my dad was one of the original guys that helped bring Dairy Queen to Texas. And
Yes.
we had Dairy Queens all over Midland, Odessa, Sweetwater, all the way to Mexico, back up to Oklahoma. I spent weeks and months and years in West Texas, driving every back road you can think of, Clarendon, Clyde.
There's a lot of them.
Oh, boy. That's all right, though. The cops are always nasty. When they stop you at 100 on those back roads in West Texas, they don't say much to you. Boy, you need to slow down a little bit.
Well, my dad says, you can't drive by a Dairy Queen without getting one of the cones.
Yeah, that's right.
Will not stop at one.
Yeah.
So.
People who live in the city do not understand how important Dairy Queen was in West Texas and, certain parts of Oklahoma and New Mexico, because that's all there was. You'd be driving along in the middle of nowhere and there'd be a Dairy Queen.
Totally.
Everybody be breakfast there. They'd have coffee there. They'd tell lies. So people been married in Dairy Queens. It's been crazy.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
So did you work on the ranch growing up?
I didn't actually work out there. I mean, we would help my grandfather when he needed it, but I wasn't employed at the ranch. But we spent a ton of time out there. I shot my first deer out there. We, helped my grandfather with the cattle, the horses. And we actually, the beginning of the pandemic, we were out there for a lot of time too, which was really nice because it didn't really feel like our life was impacted that much because we were just outside all the time and there's really not many people. So
yeah, you're not going to get it out there.
Yeah, it was kind of the perfect place to be. So
yeah, we spent a lot of time at my ranch in East Texas and our family ranch in East Texas. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a lot nicer.
Absolutely.
And when you're at the ranch, you tend to be outside more and not inside as much. So
yeah, exactly.
So what did you, when you were growing up, was it a cow-calf operation y'all had out there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. So my grandfather has run that for a long time. I don't even know how long.
He still got it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So he still has it. And yeah, I mean, the ranch has been a really special place for my extended family. We've done, every Thanksgiving out there, a lot of holidays, really every kind of milestone in our lives, I feel has been celebrated out there.
Sure.
So it's just been a place that, and also what inspired our business today, that just is really embedded in kind of our family's culture. And
Sure. Now you left there and you went to New York, correct?
Yes.
Now that's a lot of shock change because I travel all over the United States and with what we did.
Yep.
And New York is definitely okay. You got West Texas.
Yeah.
If you had a chart, I think New York will be off the chart.
Yeah,
okay?
It definitely was. I mean, it was a culture shock. For the first, I would say 2 years, I was just trying to get used to living there, honestly.
But growing up in West Texas, it would be very hard to get rid of that culture and apply it in New York.
Exactly.
You could enjoy New York and enjoy all it has to offer. Restaurants, I love the chefs, the restaurants, the food, the nightlife, and all that. But you're not going to ever get where you came from out of you.
Absolutely. And I think it was funny because when I was up there, people would always ask about where I came from. And I would
Couldn't they just listen to you talk and tell where you came from? Howdy, y'all.
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, and sometimes I would try to not say y'all because people would make fun of me. But yeah, even when I would say the town I came from, nobody ever really knew where it was. It was a blank stare.
Yeah.
And so I think that's kind of where ranch water came into play because it gave me a story to tell and a point of reference that people were actually interested in beyond just this place on the map. And so that became woven into part of my West Texas identity.
Sure.
That I think, for a lot of Northeasterners, they couldn't quite wrap their arms around what it really means to be out in West Texas.
Right. You know what, though? They can't, but if most of them went there one time, they'd really enjoy it.
Absolutely.
It's just literally what those people think of. Even people who live in Miami or New York, they still think it's the Wild West out there.
Do.
Because that's what movies
And sometimes it is, honestly.
Well, yeah, I guess so, yeah. People carrying guns. And, oh, yeah, it's funny, isn't it? But that's just Texas, though.
Right.
But also too, the image is blown up a lot on movies and commercials and talk shows and stuff. It's exaggerated. Can you say?
Absolutely.
At some point.
Yeah, exactly. And we actually we took a bunch of our friends from New York out there, I think about 3 years ago. And it was just hilarious to see them in that environment. I mean, they just, to your point, like they loved it immediately, but it was so different. And even the types of things that they packed, like I told them from the beginning, I'm like, bring shoes you want to get dirty. And they all brought like these shoes that I'm like, how in the hell did you think you were going to walk around in the dirt all day wearing that kind of outfit? But it just was like such an interesting cultural experience, I think, for all of them. So,
that's a funny point you made, because my girlfriend, Jana, she makes it a point, because I do so many events and travel so much with what I do.
Yeah.
We've gotten really popular. So, but we're somewhere all the different, sometimes we'll make 4 or 5 different deals in one day.
Wow.
And she makes it a point to ask me where we're going.
Yeah.
Are we going to be on grass, asphalt, or concrete?
It's
or
true.
Dirt, or rock, or gravel?
Yeah.
Because she's been hung in all those places.
Right.
And last weekend, I hosted and judged a big steak cook-off in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
I didn't ask where I was going. I thought I was going somewhere in the city.
Right.
Campground, dusty, dirty. She got. We drove up. She said, "I'm going to kill you."
Yeah, you have to plan your outfits around that stuff. I mean, you can't just wear like whatever out there.
No, you can't.
So yeah, and even like, I mean, there's the cat claws. I don't know if you're familiar with that kind of plant, but they have these like little thorns on them that will just grab onto whatever piece of clothing you have on.
And stay there.
And they'll stay there, and they'll rip. Like, I have pants that have like little holes all over them because the cat claws just like take hold. And so you can't just wear like a flimsy pair of pants. You have to like have a real deal.
Not these fake stretchy jeans you would buy at the store nowadays.
Exactly.
So you're married. Did your husband, did you have your daughter in New York or in Texas?
So we had her in New York. So we actually met, we went to college at SMU.
Okay.
He's from Houston originally.
Okay.
And then we moved to New York because he got a job there.
Okay.
And then we had our daughter there, and then came back to Texas recently. So
awesome.
Yeah.
So let's talk about how ranch water, because I know ranch water's been around a long time.
Yes.
I want to let's can we shoot this just up top real quick, Ron? Yeah, can y'all see that right there? Ranch water. Now, I know a lot of people who drink this, and it's real popular now.
Yep.
I spend a lot of time in Florida with my friends, Bobby and Michelle. I spend a lot of time there.
Yeah.
And a lot of people in Florida are drinking this, but they mix it themselves. But now it's in a can.
Yeah.
We can take it and just throw it out the window at people. Hey, yeah.
And that's really, I mean, when we started, so a lot of this came from when we moved to New York, and we started introducing people up there to ranch water, just the classic cocktail, tequila.
You were making it up there.
Yeah, we were making it up there. And a lot of times, like, we would go out of the city to get outdoors. We would go to, upstate to the mountains, or we would go to the beach, and there was never a convenient way to take ranch water with us. And so it just got my wheels turning of like, how can we package this in a way that makes sense so that we can start to take it around with us and do these outdoor activities that we love to do. And obviously, as you know, the ranch, it's all outdoor activities all the time.
Right.
So that's kind of what started this whole thing. And we've really, for me, ranch water is something that is just so embedded in where I come from. And we've been drinking it out there for so long that I couldn't even pinpoint the first time that I had a ranch water or like, where it really came from, because it's just something that everybody says and orders out there. But yeah, to your point, I think in the past few years, more and more people have started drinking it throughout the state of Texas. And even, we saw it on a bar menu in Miami last year. So it's really started to kind of make its way throughout the U.S.
So at what point, exactly where were you? You'll probably remember, where were you when you said, hey, well, let's go in a can? You were in New York, but were you drinking it? Were you just talking to somebody? What?
So we were upstate New York, and
which is beautiful.
It's gorgeous. Yeah. And I think that was the closest area to me that felt more like home. Even though it is a lot different, there's actually trees out there, which there aren't in West Texas.
When people think New York, they think of downtown New York.
Yes,
they don't publicize upstate or anything. So
so that we were out there, we were around a campfire with some friends, and we were just talking about it. We're like, what if we actually just put this in a can? Like, do you think we could get it out there? And after a couple drinks, like, anything sounds like a great idea. Yeah. And so we're like, hell yeah, like, let's do it. So at the time, like, we, our neighbors in New York were from Texas. They went to UT actually. And so the four of us just kind of started to figure it all out. And I spent the most part of my career in branding and advertising. So I really brought that element of it, to the table. And also just being from West Texas, I think I understood a lot more of like what ranch water stands for versus just being a trendy drink.
Also, too, you could brand it, because if you took that to somebody in New York and you said brand this, they would have not a clue.
Exactly.
They wouldn't have the passion, the idea, or the drive to market that, because they wouldn't have a clue.
And I think that's what has been different about our brand, is that there's just this authenticity to it. It's not like we are jumping on the bandwagon of something that's popular. We're taking something that is really beloved in our like culture in West Texas, and we're trying to introduce it to more people and tell the story behind it and really share like what our culture means, which it's like those hardworking, almost like, values of the American West. And I think that's something that, as we've gotten into this further, I've realized is really a lot more universal than just West Texas. I think that's something that has resonated with a lot of people throughout the country. But
a lot of those values have been lost.
Yes.
And so if you can, and branding that, if you can talk about those values, because it is a way of life out there. It's amazing.
And I think it's been interesting with, the coronavirus too, because I think people have just started to get back to like essential living. They want to be connected to the land, to their food sources. They want to just simplify everything in their life. And I think that kind of trend at a macro level has really benefited us, because that's what ranch water is about. It's a simple drink that celebrates that way of life.
Right.
And so I think that's something that I hope, more and more people will associate with our brand and with ranch water in general.
You said people won't know it now. And I tell everybody, when I started this, we used to own restaurants. When I started this deal 10 years ago, my whole deal was know your farmer, know your rancher, know where your food comes from.
Absolutely.
And I think one thing Covey has done, people want to know where it's coming from. I mean, it's really made people focus and take a hard look at what they eat, what they drink, what they touch, where they go, where they sit, where they eat. I mean, it's been
even just becoming like more self-sufficient. I feel like, I saw so many people like starting their own gardens or baking their own bread. And I just think those kinds of trends and skills are things that people are starting to value more and more, because again, life is just starting to become a lot more simple. And that's the thing that people are really valuing at the moment.
Right. So tell me, for people who don't know, tell everything what ranch water is comprised of.
Yes. So ours is actually the hard seltzer kind of inspired version of ranch water. And the reason why we created it that way is because we believed when we put it in a can, the occasion is actually a lot closer to, say, a light beer. Okay. And so, we wanted it to be a couple of things. We wanted it to be sessionable so that you could drink a couple of these over the course of, an afternoon or evening. It's not something that as too high of an alcohol content where you only really want one. Right. We wanted the flavor profile to be like...
I never wanted one of any drink. Let me tell you right now, if I can't have 10 or 15, I'm not popping it.
I'm with you on that. But sometimes it's like a martini or something. You're not going to like pound a ton of those. So this, we just wanted it to be something that was light, refreshing, had it we actually use real lime juice. Right. And getting that lime flavor was really important to me, because I wanted it to literally feel like you could squeeze a lime in your can. Because I think that's one of the markers of ranch water. And then we've come out with some new flavors. So our Rio Red actually has Rio Red grapefruit juice from the Rio Grande Valley. And that, again, it's just using that fresh juice, keeping it really light, simple, refreshing. Sure. And then the one that is my personal favorite, and I don't know if I'm supposed to say that, but is our spicy. And that actually uses the state pepper of Texas, which is jalapeno.
Okay, wait. So you have a spicy. Did you bring that today?
Well, it's sold out at the moment.
You came here and didn't bring me a can of spicy.
I know. Actually, you know what? I have a case that's being brought to Fort Worth in the next hour, so I'll get you some.
So that's your favorite.
That's my favorite. Yeah.
So you have regular.
Regular.
You've got grapefruit.
Yep.
Now, regular's kind of got a lime twist to it. I mean,
Yes.
a lemon twist, right? Or
It's lime, fresh lime.
Fresh lime. And then this has got the grapefruit.
Yep.
And then the jalapeno. Now, the jalapeно's got to be good. Well, if it's sold
really
out, you know it's good.
Yeah. And it's like, I think my preference for spice is really high.
Right.
But we knew that to be palatable for
Right.
a broader audience, we needed to temper that a little bit.
Right.
So it's something where it's enough of a kick to where you get that spiciness, but it's not so much that you're like, holy shit, if I drink more than one of these, like, I'm not going to make it through.
Yeah, I'm going to spend all day in the bathroom. You know what? You said branding a while ago when you were talking around the campfire, you said, hell yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
That needs to be on a T-shirt. You need to have hell yeah, let's do it with the Ranch Water brand on. That'd be neat.
Yeah, that is a good one.
That's great.
I should hire you to do our
Hell
marketing.
yeah, let's do it.
We should put you in the commercial.
Okay, so obviously, when this came out first,
Yes.
and then this came out?
In August. And so we've been, so now we have all three flavors
Okay.
in the market. And then we have a new variety that's coming out next year that's in our kind of innovation pipeline at
Okay.
the moment.
R&D.
Yes. And so we'll introduce that probably in January.
So when you create a flavor, like
Yep.
when you create the first flavor, even though you knew what you wanted, how long did it take you start to finish to get the flavor that you wanted, the flavor profile you wanted in your first flavor?
Yeah. So I think, I mean, for us, it took over 2 years
Oh,
because
wow.
we were really particular in what we wanted the profile to be. And a lot of hard seltzers that are out there, you know, like a White Claw, Truly, etc.
Sure.
They're more inspired by, I would say, like the vodka side of
Right.
cocktails. We were going more from the tequila side of
Right.
things. So we wanted to pull that essence through to the seltzer and getting that flavor perfect. I mean, maybe we were a little bit too hard on it, but like we just really wanted it to be something that was as close to a ranch water you would make at home
Sure.
as it could be.
You know what that was, don't you? That was passion.
Yes.
That's what. No, I'm serious.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
That's why you're sitting in that chair. No, I'm serious. It's passion,
Yeah.
and that's what drove you. That's what you took. That hell yeah, let's do it, and it
Yeah.
took you 2 years, but it's a
Exactly.
passion.
And looking back, we're like, it would have been a lot better if we had been a year earlier to market. I'm sure our business would look so different, but you know, we probably wouldn't have the recipe that we're so proud of today.
Yeah.
That we really labored over every little, you know, detail of.
You can't rush perfection.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't.
I should tell my partners that.
So it's the stories on the back.
Yeah, so when I started building the brand, I was really inspired by this legend that's told in West Texas of
Right.
where ranch water comes from. And as the story goes, a wild-haired rancher originally concocted it. And after drinking it, he followed miles of Texas stars until he fell asleep under a pinon tree. And when I say miles of Texas stars, and you might understand the geography better,
Sure.
but he actually went from Marathon, Texas to Fort Davis, Texas,
wow.
which is about 50 miles.
Yeah.
So the drink obviously inspired him enough to
Yeah.
go that far.
Yeah.
So I loved that legend. And I think
That's not in a car. You can explain that. He didn't go
he
50 miles.
walked.
Right.
He walked.
Run
yeah.
in a car.
Under the Texas
Right,
stars.
right.
So, yeah. And I just, you know, as with most great Texan things, I feel like there's a legend behind it. And
Sure.
I just felt so inspired to share that story and that legend with
Right.
more people. And it obviously felt very connected to where I come from. And I was, you know, a lot of times thinking of my grandfather, that rancher from Fort Davis, and, you know, someone like him that was on that journey.
Right.
And so that's really what I started to tap into when we were building the brand.
No nonsense kind of guys.
Yeah, exactly. And I've said before, like, I think it's kind of a no frills, get the job done drink.
Right.
And I think that's also the spirit of the people from West Texas. We're just no frills, get the job done, kind of essential living people.
I like that essence comes through on the label, because a lot of
Yeah.
labels got all this
Yes.
crap on there.
Yeah.
Which is very hard to see what the actual drink is. And
Absolutely.
it's just very plain, but it's a no nonsense label, which is
Yeah.
kind of what you believe the drink is. You know, it's a no nonsense drink. So
Yeah, and I think that was like at the core of everything, is just the simplicity of the recipe, of the brand, of the way of life. I think there's a beauty in that and just not overcomplicating things.
So when you were, because I had an energy drink at one time.
Yeah.
And I had to go through lots of flavors to get my energy drink flavor that I wanted. Okay.
Yeah.
I know how long it took me. How long did it take y'all when they were mixing? Did you go to a flavor house?
Yes,
okay.
we did. Yeah.
Arizona, California.
They're actually kind of all over the U.S.
Yeah.
But we basically would tell them like examples of the types of flavors that we wanted and give them a proxy for that. And then they would come back to us with like these almost like little glass bottle vials. And we would try those every few weeks and then we would give them a lot of detailed feedback. We would do some focus groups to make sure that like, I mean, I don't have a professional palate. Like we wanted to make sure that other people liked this too. And then, through that whole process, we got to the place where we were like, okay, I think this is it. But even right before we went to market, I like had
were you double guess yourself?
Like I had like a nightmare where I was like, oh my God, like is it right? Like, do we need to make one last tweak? And I even like, woke my husband up. I'm like, what do you think? And he's like, we just got to let it go into market at this point. And I think like that's just the perfectionism that we were really after.
Passion.
Is that we wanted it to be something that we were proud of and that people loved as much as we do.
Sure. I actually went to a flavor house and sat there for a week.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd go back and forth, in there, out, in, out, all day long. It got to be where it was like, if I taste one more, and I had to taste it, there was caffeine, and I was just jacked all week. I mean, I was
an energy drink, I can only imagine.
Oh my God. Yeah, you can only imagine. I couldn't even understand myself talk.
Your heart rate was probably through the roof.
Oh man. So that's awesome. So when you created the first flavor, how long was it before you created the second flavor?
So we kind of did them all. Once we got to like, okay, this is a really good base recipe, then we simultaneously started developing the other flavors. And we always knew. So when we looked at the hard seltzer category, one thing for me is I just felt like the expansion was driven by what we called a sea of sameness. So it was a lot of brands with like fruity flavors, skinny cans.
Yeah.
So to carve out our point of differentiation, it was actually very easy to just say, we want to create something in a flavor profile that gives the consumer a different choice. And so that's where, there wasn't a spicy seltzer that existed yet. But that was a very natural kind of evolution of our flavors because it's inspired by like the category adjacencies and, other flavors that you would expect to come out of places like West Texas.
Sure.
And so that's kind of, what has been our guiding star the whole time is just maintain that point of differentiation, but also make it feel like it's really rooted in West Texas where we come from.
So they get that culture.
Yeah.
So let me ask you the big question. Has your granddad tried it?
Yes. He's a big wine drinker, surprisingly. And now he only drinks this.
Really?
And the one that I told a story about in the beginning was, so my uncle is like a true cowboy.
Right.
He worked on the ranch for years and years, and he only drank Coors Yellow Belly.
Yeah, a lot of those cowboys, that was
die hard. If he's going to drink, that's what's in his hand.
Yeah, a lot of them are that way still today.
And he wouldn't touch a seltzer with a 10-foot pole. Like, we would have White Claws at the ranch. He would not even entertain it. And he finally tried our drink, and he's completely converted from Coors. And so I'm like, that is like the experience that we want people to go through, is we want to get those guys that are like real cowboys that would never drink a seltzer, but they might consider this because it's different and it resembles the kind of lifestyle that they actually live.
Right. Well, that's awesome. So were you there when he took his first sip?
Yeah, I was. It was actually right at the beginning of the quarantine.
Oh, was it?
We were in, we were spending a lot of time together.
What would you do if he wouldn't have liked it?
I mean, I probably would have said, let's work on the recipe a little more.
Yeah, you probably would have. Yeah. So he liked it. So does he like all the original flavor, or does he like it spicy flavor?
He likes them all, yeah.
Does he?
Yeah.
And that's what he drinks now.
Yeah, that's all he drinks.
And what did your granddad, do you remember what your granddad said the very first time he tried his first sip?
I mean, he was like, we got to get the ranch fridges fully stocked of this stuff. He's like, I don't ever want to be out of it. And like getting it out to that area is tough because it's remote and there's not a lot of stores. So I was like, trying to figure out these ways to get it to him in the beginning. But now he has a fully stocked fridge. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
So let's talk about the stores because I saw it.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I think Jana or somebody pointed out to me in one of the liquor store, Total Wine and More, maybe.
Yep.
That sound right?
Yes.
So who are y'all distributing through?
So we're
in
distributing
Texas?
through Benny Keith.
Okay. Good choice.
Yeah, they have been an incredible partner. I think from the get-go, they believed in our brand and our vision.
Sure.
And I just think their organization and the values that they have are so well aligned with ours that it's been a really, really good relationship.
Texas
for us.
boys, they're good. They're a good company.
Yeah, and it's a family-owned company. It just, it was something where it was such a natural fit that we, I'm so happy that we made that decision to work with them.
They're a cash company too. I mean, they don't house a lot of debt. They're a very, very, very strong company.
Yes.
And they understand what Texas like.
Exactly. They definitely do.
Yeah. When you say Benny Keith, everybody knows.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Were they excited? Did they take all the flavors at one time? Or
yeah. So we actually, our first meeting with them, I was walking in there with our VP of sales, and we sat down in the lobby, and their lobby is gorgeous.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm
they
sure.
have all this like Western art, and I'm sitting there, and he's like, so the guys that we're meeting with come down, and he looks at me and he's like, "You better buckle up because we're meeting with the big boys today." And I was like, "Oh my God, are we ready?" Like,
that's funny.
So, but they've been such a good partner, and we've been really happy working with them.
That's awesome. So they have it. Do you know what all stores are in, or just
yeah. So we, HEB was one of the first.
That's
retailers
that's another good company. You're in
us.
line with some great Texas companies.
Yeah, and that was just, again, like I think our brand aligned so well with their consumer base, and we were just so thankful that they bought into our brand so early on. But Total Wine, Kroger, now Walmart, Albertsons, Tom Thumb, Whole Foods, Central Market. A lot of places
I'm going to tell you something. Walmart's going to sling some of those cans. Those people, just by proxy, they're going to sell a lot of it.
Yeah.
It's just the sheer numbers of people.
Absolutely. Yeah. We Specs just brought us, and there's a ton of even independents that have been really great customers of ours. I think it's just been fun to see Texans like rally around us, really.
So are you, is it outside the state yet?
Yes. So we launched in Texas and Tennessee.
Okay.
And Tennessee, I think, has really benefited us because of the proximity to country music.
Sure.
And that audience obviously has a lot of...
They know a lot of ranch water business.
Exactly. Yeah. So, through that, we've just kind of organically gotten this incredible fan base of these country musicians. We were in a Parker McCollum music video recently. So that's just been really fun to see, and something that I think we'll see more of in the coming years too.
That's awesome. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So you're in the whole state of Tennessee, or just around
Whole state of Tennessee.
Whole state. Okay.
Yep.
And do y'all is Benny Keith have anything to do with that, or do you have a different distributor?
No.
Up there?
So the way that we're distributed, it's more like beer.
Okay.
So it's actually pretty much like a different distributor for every state.
Sure. So well, that's like we were the energy drinks.
Yeah.
It'd be Coors.
You have to put like a patchwork together.
Yeah.
And, but it's fun. I mean, I love meeting all these distributors. Our product has been so well received with them that it just makes the meetings really fun. And it's more about how do we really expand the business and build the brand together. And I hope our meetings continue that way.
I think that, but they had you in the center aisle. In
Total Wine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and what caught my eye was I think Janice said something about it, and I looked, but it stood out in the aisle because it had that label, that logo. That label was so simple.
Yeah.
And the rest of them had all this crazy stuff on it.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's why it stood out to me.
Yeah.
So they're doing a good job there. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But also too, if it's good, it'll sell itself. Hell yeah, right? It'll sell itself.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what first it was people were interested in the packaging and the brand, but then it's like once they taste the liquid, that's what really encourages them to go back and buy it again. And so we've been really happy to see that people have loved the liquid as much as we have. So fortunately,
so I'm going to ask you. I know you're going to have an answer for me because I can tell already you were indecisive before you launched. So
yeah,
what was the biggest hurdle you had to overcome in your mind? Like,
Yeah.
what was your biggest hurdle that you thought, oh, it's not going to work, it's not going to work? What was, to you, what was the biggest thing? Was kept eating at you, tell me it's not going to work?
I mean, honestly, we launched in mid-April. So we basically, our supply chain has just been hurdle after hurdle.
Okay.
Because, as we're racing, so we had a deadline to be on shelf on April 15th.
Right. Is that in COVID? Right.
And so then, mid-March, we're starting to get all these reports. We're trying to sift through, what the hell is going to happen. And, we're talking to Benny Keith daily, like, what are we going to do at launch? Is our product going to get on shelf? Is it not going to get on shelf? Have we produced too much or too little? And then in the supply chain, it was like there was a global aluminum shortage. It just was everything you could possibly imagine going wrong at the last possible moment went wrong. Yeah. And so we're at that time out at our ranch, we hardly have cell phone service.
Right.
So I'm walking to the top of these like mountains to get cell phone service, to call the can providers and convince them to get us our allocation. And it just was a wild ride,
yeah,
truly. So the day that product got on shelf, it was like a sigh of relief for a second of like, holy shit, we actually did this. Yeah. And I think that we're going to make it happen. And, since then we've learned a lot, but there has been, constant challenges and evolution in our supply chain just to navigate, getting cans, getting fresh lime juice.
Because there's lots of different moving parts to what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the flavor mixture, it's the cans.
Yep.
Those come and then the shipping. Yep. And the distribution network. I mean, it's a big thing. Yeah,
and even there was one point where our product was selling out so quickly that Benny Keith was like, really on us. They're like, we need our next order in 2 days. And so we're like,
no way.
We're busting our ass and we're trying to get it out the door. And then finally it gets picked up. It's on its way. And to Benny Keith's warehouse, and the truck gets in an accident. And we're just like, everybody was fine. And, some of the product was damaged. But at that point, it was like every can was so critical that we were just like, oh, my gosh.
You literally had everything happen to you, didn't you?
So it was just,
you just don't see big 18-wheeler wrecks at all. And you see little bumper fender benders, but not.
Right. And they sent us pictures, and it was like our pallets were completely turned over. And I'm just like, at that point, after everything we had been through, honestly, it didn't even faze me that much. Yeah. I'm just like,
you were in the saddle and you're ready.
We can get through this. Like, we're gonna be fine. But it's been a really steep learning curve. Just not only managing a complex supply chain, but figuring out how to do that when there's disruptions in every piece of the business.
Every time.
Yeah.
So the jalapeno, I'm gonna go back because I'm ADD and I keep throwing around on mine.
Yeah.
The jalapeno flavor.
Yep.
When did you think about that right when you did the first flavor?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was one we always knew. We were like, we're going to do a spicy because we love spicy. And if you think about, in bars, so margarita is the number one drink. Right. And a lot of the most popular customization is a spicy margarita. Right. So it just made a lot of sense. And the second we tasted it, we honestly considered for a second, we're like, do we launch with spicy because it's so good?
Is that good?
Or do we launch with original? And so I think we're really happy to have all three now. I think it's a good balance of flavors and options. And
so when you were doing your flavors, when you were not the canned flavors, but when you were mixing at your house, just spicy, did you use a real jalapeno?
Yes.
So did you crush it up, or did you just how'd you do your flavor?
Yeah. So I think when you make it yourself, I really tend to just do slices, and then they always say the spice comes from the seeds and the oil in it. Right. So you can kind of make it more spicy or less spicy based on how many seeds you get in there, which I tend to like more. Yeah. But with ours, it's the flavor from the oil of the pepper, so you can get to that essence of it.
So you're using actual oil from the pepper.
Yes.
That's what I was trying to get at.
Because that's what's makes things really spicy.
A lot of drinks use artificial flavoring. Yeah. And so I wanted to be sure. I mean, and you told me this, but I was trying to get a way to come at it for you to tell me.
It comes from that, but I will say that it's not. So you will probably drink it and think this isn't very spicy, but that was intentional. Right. Because
everybody can't drink. Yeah.
You don't want to have, 5 spicy margaritas. Sure. If they're super spicy. Right. So that was
who.
I mean, I've done it
Speak
before.
For yourself. So is this being sold in bars on premise yet, or just in liquor, or just off premise?
So that's been the other interesting piece is like, we went to market, it was the shutdown.
Right.
And then slowly, I mean, obviously there's been kind of a back and forth. The bars opened for a little bit, then closed, and then it was the capacity. So we are in a couple of bars, but now that, Texas, it was just announced we'll start to open all bars mid-October, I imagine that we'll see our product in a lot more. And we are also, so the NFR is coming to Fort Worth, which I'm sure you know.
Oh, yeah.
And so we are also doing some things with them around that time to have our product there.
Awesome. That's definitely a place for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And excited that it's in Texas.
I know. Well, yeah, it won't be the same as it's in Vegas, but the NFR is awesome. It'll be good anywhere it is, but.
Well, and this is where it started, which I didn't know, which is so cool that it's coming back here.
Don't you know all good things originate in Texas?
Obviously, yes.
My gosh. West, east, north, south. It's all where it comes from. Look at the cattle. How did Fort Worth come about?
Right. Exactly.
Same way. So that's awesome. So have y'all ever thought about considering putting it on? Can that be put on tap?
So we don't want to right now, because I do think there's just an experience you get with having it in the can that can't really be replicated on tap yet. That's not to say that it's out of the realm of possibility, but what I do like about our product is that it's very flexible. So we've actually done a lot of like dressing up the can ourselves,
right? Like
putting tahini around the rim, putting a little like Cholula on the like lid.
Wait, did you send me a picture? Did I get a picture of one of those?
The Cholula can.
Yeah. That looks really cool.
It's really good. I call it a loaded ranch water.
You call it loaded ranch water?
Yeah. And that's just like for spicy, for example, if I want it more spicy, I'll add my own hot sauce to the lid, and that's where it gets like a real kick.
On the lid of the can.
Yeah, and then you just pop it open and a little drops in. And then you kind of sip it while you're sipping the liquid.
You're a pro at that, aren't you?
Yeah. So I found a lot of creative ways to dress it up, too.
When did you try? So the can I got the picture of. How did y'all do that with any other flavors or just that?
Yeah. So we you just kind of line it with a lime, and then you can do anything. You can do salt, tahini. Someone told me to try taco seasoning, which I thought sounded kind of good, honestly.
Did you try it?
I haven't tried it yet.
No, I'm telling you it'll be good.
Yeah, I mean, that was one that I was like, I wouldn't have thought of it, but definitely going to try.
Spices, come on, man, that'll be delicious. Yeah.
So I think there's kind of endless. We actually, we just posted about something today. We saw some people making Bloody Marys with it, where you like pour a little bit out, pour a little bit of the Bloody Mary mix in it, and then you put like a little stick with a pickle on it. And there you go.
People getting creative with ranch water already. Yeah. We're going to have ranch water Bloody Marys for long. In a can.
Exactly. And have you seen like those draft tops too? So there's a little tool now. And we were just getting all these Instagram ads about it. But you can actually twist it. And it takes the pop top off. So it's more like a cup. Oh. So that even opens up the possibilities of like what you can mix in it. And
that's neat.
So yeah. So I think that's where I see with bars. It's like, I think the bartenders getting creative with how they dress the can.
Sure.
Because I think there's endless possibilities there.
All about that training.
Which actually, have you ever heard of Chamoy?
No.
This is another one that was like an interesting learning experience.
What is Chamoy?
So Chamoy is like this fermented fruit paste that is, they say it has like a umami kind of flavor profile. So it's sweet, sour, like spicy.
Yeah, that'd be good.
And it's almost like this fruit paste that you dip the can in. And then when you open it, you're drinking the drink, but you get that like sweet, sour with it.
Wow.
And there's all these local kind of mom and pop people that are making chamoy throughout Texas. And so we saw our consumers doing the chamoy cans and we're like, we got to try it. And now I actually like will crave it sometimes. I'm like, we got to go get our chamoy so we can make it.
That's awesome.
So yeah.
So what was the most exciting thing for you was it the original, okay, hell yeah, let's do it, and we're going to do it? Was that at what point were you the most excited about doing it?
So I think when we actually got the product on shelf, and again, it was this crazy journey, and we kept calling Benny Keith. We're like, what stores is it in? Like, can we go buy it? Where is it going to be? And they're like, we don't know yet. So finally, we see it goes into this craft store in Dallas, and we're like, oh my God. So we're out in West Texas. I'm like, I have to call the store and just make sure it's on the shelf, see what's going on. So I call them, and they're like, it's been here for an hour and it's almost sold out. And I was like, just it blew my mind that people that we didn't know were out there buying this product that we created.
Yeah.
And so that is something that I think I'll never forget. Just that first day.
Well, when you actually went and saw it on a shelf, that was pretty cool, wasn't it?
Totally. The second we knew that it was, in West Texas, we went to HEB like it was an event. We got the whole family in the car. We rolled up. We were taking pictures.
Was it a suburban excursion? What was it?
Oh yeah, absolutely a suburban. I think we had 2 Suburbans. There were a lot of people.
Yeah, Suburban's the national car in Texas.
Yeah, exactly. So we rolled up. We went in the store. I'm sure they're like, "Who are these people?" But yeah, that was fun.
Did you buy it, get the restaurant, and pay for it?
Oh, totally. Yeah, obviously.
That's exciting, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was very cool.
Who was all with you?
So we had my parents, my brother, my sister, my aunts and uncles. I mean, it was like I said, everybody really came out of the woodwork.
That's awesome, though.
Yeah.
So tell me about the hat band up there. We have that hat. It says it's a leather ranch water hat band. It's up there on the shelf up there. You can see it, but it's really cool. And tell us the story about how you did that.
Yeah, so we there's a store called Big Bend Saddlery that's out in far West Texas, and they just do these beautiful custom pieces. So I actually have a sterling silver belt that they've made me with our Lone River logo, and they do these hat bands that are engraved with whatever you want. And so we just thought it was kind of a special thing to do with our branding and a way for us to work with, honestly, a craftsman out there that we really respect and love, and to make something that we could kind of share with other people and give you a taste of what that craftsmanship looks like from West Texas.
That's awesome. So I have not asked you this yet. You have ranch water, but the Lone River, where did that come from?
Yeah, so so Lone River, and actually our brand symbol. So we were inspired by a lot of, and I'm sure you know this because you guys have a ranch from what I understand.
Yes.
So the ranch brand, when people say the word brand, it originated from the ranch brand. And there's a whole language out there for the different brand symbols. And so that's what we were originally really inspired by, but we wanted to modernize it a little bit. And so that's kind of where we got to the Lone River symbol. But we also really liked the symbolism of, they call it a witching stick, or a forked stick.
Right.
And in far West Texas, there's actually people that will come out to your property with this forked stick to help you find water for water wells. Right. And so it actually, if you look at a forked stick, it looks a lot like that. And again, it's just that symbolism of finding water in a place where it's really scarce. So I think, and then separately, just the words Lone River to me represent that kind of standing for what you believe in, and you don't have to follow the crowd. You can do something, that really stands apart from that. And so I think it's kind of speaking to that journey, not to take this too philosophical.
But that's awesome. Yeah. You know what that is? That's our passion again. That'd be a good commercial, guy with the witching stick. I've seen that done a lot.
Did they do that on your ranch?
Drinking a can of ranch water. That'd be awesome commercial.
Yeah. Or maybe he finds a can with his witching stick.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah,
they had that. They used to have that in a lot of old Western movies, but I think people thought that was a myth.
Yeah, and they still do it.
Yeah, I know.
Well, and especially, West Texas, to find a water well, it's like gold because it's really
it's better than gold.
Yeah, exactly.
Because if you're on a ranch out there, you need 3 things: you got to have water.
Yeah,
you got to have grass,
and if you have your own well, you're really self-sufficient. So So it's really important, and a lot of people still use that. So it's interesting because I think it gets to that mysticism of what you were saying earlier, of what people think of West Texas and the Old West, and there's just a lot of elements like that.
Now that I think about that, if you were to take somebody and take them out there to some of these smaller, older towns, they might think they were back in the Wild West if they just didn't see pickups.
Yeah, absolutely.
But those guys drive beat up trucks and stuff anyway. You know?
Exactly.
My uncle used to say, you want to F up a good truck, put a cow feeder on it.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want a nice car out there.
No,
It'll get dinged up pretty fast.
Rocks splitting everywhere.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Gravel is the new concrete.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And one piece of gravel like that small will put a huge crack in your windshield. So yeah, I mean, we've had so many of those.
That's funny, isn't it?
Yeah.
So so y'all obviously, do you have it in New York yet?
No, we don't.
So do you have plans to? Are you?
Yeah. So we're actually looking at some expansion next year.
I know they're all shut down right now still, but
yeah, and we're looking at expansion. Actually, it'll be more in the South, and then our hope, and we do think that our brand can really stand on its own nationwide. So
I think you're right.
I think eventually we want to get there. We just know we have limitations from how much we can produce at the moment. And so that's really what's, had us be a little bit more strategic about where we go next.
How long do you think it's going to be before we're going to have a bunch of copycats running around?
I mean, they're already out there, and it doesn't surprise me. I think the difference, though, is that, again, this is something that we're really passionate about, and there's an authentic story behind it, and we're not just doing it to be trendy. We're doing it because we believe in what West Texas stands for.
You have the heritage behind it.
Yeah, and I think, again, it's like I'm almost fighting for like the story behind the drink that is connected to West Texas.
Sure.
And that's what I want people to think about. I don't want them to just think this is some trendy product that everybody started buying.
Yeah. What's funny is that, and I'm sure you've heard this term many, many times, but, dance with the one who brung you. Well, if you're the first one to the dance, it's going to be a lot better off. And you're the first one to the dance.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly. And I hope that, we can continue to kind of lead the pack on that. But we'll see what happens.
Oh, come on. It's going to be fantastic.
So
when's that jalapeno coming?
It's here. Well, it's just not in the studio, but we'll get you plenty. I'll get you a fridge full.
Are there any stores that have it?
Yes. So it is in every store that we're sold in right now. So your Total Wine that you go to, you'll probably be able to find it there.
Listen, I support local a lot. That's my big thing is supporting local.
Yep.
So I don't go to the same, believe it or not, we don't go to the same Total Wine & More ever. We go to, I go to
awesome.
Frisco, we go to Austin, anywhere we are, we go to Total Wine & More.
Absolutely.
Because I want to support Deep Ellum, I want to support local products.
Totally.
And of course now, and Jana we bought some at the other.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thanks.
When we were doing the show, I didn't have the, when before we talked to you and we scheduled the show, we scheduled them real far out, but I didn't have the picture of the can.
Yeah.
And when Jenna was asking about the ranch water, I said, I think that's it. That looks like it. I mean, it's a pretty simple can. And so we bought that. Yeah.
Nice. Good.
Yeah. But you are right about this that you brought. It's got to be cold.
Oh my gosh.
It's got to be cold.
Yeah. Well, and these I can drink pretty fast, but if you're not you want every sip to be ice cold, and those koozies, it's crazy.
Jana's going to love that. I'm going to have to give it to her. She's going to steal it from me.
Well, it's annoying because then every time you drink something out of a can, you're going to want it. And it's a little bulky to carry around.
A lot of our friends like ranch water. They're going to eat that up. And she'll guard that with her life.
Totally.
Is that a Yeti? Is that what it is?
It is.
Yeah, it's really neat. It's heavy, too.
Yeah.
It's a real one. You can get the fake Yetis now, and it ain't the same.
Yeah. No, I love those.
Yeah. So if people want to find ranch water, what's the website?
So our website is loneriverbevco.com.
Lone River Bevco.
Yes.
Okay.
And then our Instagram page is @ranchwater. So super simple.
@ranchwater.
And if you go to our Instagram page, you can actually link directly to our website.
When you go to Instagram, does it come out and go, hell yeah, let's do it? Does it come out and say that?
It should.
It should.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. No, that's a great tagline.
Yeah, next week we'll have a t-shirt up there. Hell yeah.
Because that's a great tag because that was the minute you said that, it was passionate to you and you were going to do it. So I love it.
Yeah.
You got to look for those taglines.
I know.
Especially nowadays, taglines are super important.
I know.
Well, you're in branding and marketing, Okay, so Lone River Bev
Co.com. And then Instagram, Twitter, whatever, Facebook @ranchwater.
Okay, so Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, you're on all of those.
Yep.
Are you on LinkedIn?
I am personally on LinkedIn if you want to follow me.
You need to put, but you need to put down. LinkedIn's been a huge deal for me. I mean, I love LinkedIn.
It's actually amazing
it's
how
huge.
many people we've connected with. And
Yep.
I think one thing that's been really special for me is just how much the Western community has embraced us.
Yeah.
And on LinkedIn, there's so many people that have just honestly randomly reached out and will hop on the phone, and then it leads to this like interesting partnership or
Do you know what?
relationship.
On LinkedIn, people who are on LinkedIn are serious.
Yeah.
They're serious about business and about careers and about what they're doing or drive their passion.
Yep.
It's the only social media website I found that everybody's serious. There's no
Yes.
funny bullshit going on
Totally.
on that platform.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's everything. The videos are all real. There's nothing crazy.
Yeah.
It's a great platform.
Well, and it's when you talk about expansion,
Yeah.
so a lot of these distributors in other states, I mean, that's how they've gotten a hold of us.
Yeah.
Is just reaching us on LinkedIn, and then, you know, we have a conversation with them and stuff like that. So that's been fun to see too. So we'll have to connect on LinkedIn.
Yeah, we will have to. Okay, everybody. Katie, we enjoyed having you here.
Thank you.
Hell yeah, let's do
Hell
it.
yeah.
Needs to be on a t-shirt. Okay, everybody, I want y'all to go to TreyChapman.com. Like I said, we pumped that new article out yesterday about the K-pop burger. Please look at the burger. Look at the video. We have a video attached to that we made last night, production in-house. It's a fantastic video. And then go to our Facebook this weekend. We've got all kinds of videos coming up for the new restaurants that have opened up. And, of course, Provender Hall. I'm going to promote Provender Hall again in the Fort Worth Stockyards. Chef Marcus Paisley's done a fantastic job with his new Provender Hall. It's in the old Mule Barn buildings down there. It is eclectic and awesome. 2-story. You can look over into the lobby like you're in New Orleans, or it's really cool. So hook me up. www.treyschowdown.com, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. See y'all next week. Thanks for watching. Adios. Hi, I'm Trey Chapman, publisher of TreyChowdown.com. I'm passionate about finding the best food, drinks, and chefs, and sharing it all with you. I should know I have over 5 decades of food experience. Find me on any podcast platform, Facebook Live, or just Google me. Now you can watch and listen to all my great finds every week on my live TV and radio podcast at Trey's Chowdown Live.